Now then, my name is Ryan Central and today we will be talking endgame for Borderlands 3 and a few things that the developers said to me in interviews that I got to do with them at the gameplay event last week that give us a lot more information on how it's all going to work and how it's evolved over time with the looter shooter genre. But most importantly, how this whole game has poised and prepared itself for endgame in mind, stuff about boss mechanics, and how some of them will have WoW-esque raid mechanics that if done badly will get you killed. All that in mind today's video. First thing I want to say is that we have a giveaway going on at the moment. It's in the comments below, really easy to enter, so I'll move on from there. This interview came from Kate Pitstick, who is a level designer and also a designer of missions. And the other interviewee was Matt Cox, who is the lead boss designer of Borderlands 3. Sorry about the quality with some of the audio in here, but we'll start with the questions that I fielded Kate, and starting with a big one. There's been a big gap between Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3, and the looter genre since Borderlands 2 has grown and evolved a lot more. So how has Borderlands 3 aged alongside the looter shooter genre?
And one of the biggest things has been like people wondering with how the looter shooter genre has evolved, what are we doing? And really, what we are trying to do is stay true to what the original games were. We're not trying to do the microtransactions or the always online things or the shared world shooters, I guess they're called now. We've really been trying to focus on, okay, how does this play on couch co-op? Is it still fun to play offline as it is to play online with another friend? And focusing on classic Borderlands details like that.
The whole looter shooter genre, it definitely seemed straight away that Borderlands 3 was just kind of like, we're just going to do what we do anyway. Was there anything that you think like caught your eye from what, not necessarily other people did, but like as times moved on that you thought, Borderlands 3 could definitely do with something like this?
I mean, yes, but that's the same with any game that we've played. It's been like, especially some of the recent single player games that have come out. Looking at how they did very basic character narrative interactions or repeatable missions, like figuring out what other games were doing well and what we could borrow from those that would still make sense within our game. Like one of the pitfalls I think happens with certain other games is that they'll see other games that are succeeding and take bits and pieces of that and fit it into their narrative, but it doesn't fit well.
Right.
So really trying to find a good balance of what makes sense to borrow from these other titles that works with us.
Replayable missions were mentioned by Kate, so I wondered how the new Borderlands was planning to go about repeating important quests, if that was going to be possible at all, whether it be daily, stuff like that, and this is what Kate had to say.
There are options. One of the basic ones that you'll see in the demo itself right now are the bounty board missions. So, for example, when I was playing through the demo, I ran into the Baron. And I was able to fight him and go through that whole interaction before I actually picked up the bounty to go and kill him. Or it could be like, I've already killed him in my game, but you drop into my game and you haven't. So that bounty would appear and we could go fight him together. So doing things like that. There are a couple other instances of specific repeatable missions that were developed to make sense of, oh, cool, yeah, I did this way the first time, but I want to do that again this other way. And they are specifically tailored for that.
Because naturally, it's just, Borderlands, a lot of it is just, killing General Knox like 100 times to get the best weapon.
Yeah.
So I guess there was an element of you trying to almost make a narrative for that, for it to make sense, I suppose, as opposed to just, I killed this guy 100 times and I don't know why, really. Story,
we tried to kind of address that and make that make sense. But it is still the Borderlands universe, so.
Right, the big endgame question that you wanted to have an answer to came next. Instead of paraphrasing what I asked her, I'll leave in me asking a question in the audio, so it's easier for you to get context for it. But basically, how are they going about endgame?
It sounds like you've set yourself up quite nicely for like endgame to an extent, where it's like, no doubt the story will progress, you'll fight the Calypsos, you might beat them, you might not, but it sounds like it's not just going to be one of those things where you finish the campaign and then it's kind of like, I'm just going to do all of these other random things. Like, it sounds like, if anything, you're setting yourself up for when you hit max level, whatever that is, and why you might do some of that like pinnacle like raid content or whatever. Whereas before it was kind of more like, you will just go fight General Knox or whoever, like Pomerax.
Right.
For the sake of it, it sounds like you'll have the main story, and then it will open up and actually make sense instead of just...
Right, and especially after watching Twitch and seeing the people who had been constantly streaming, since Borderlands 2 had launched, or since the pre-sequel had launched, and then developing their own community events around in-game content, coming up with their huge Excel sheet for the hunt of, this is how many points that you'll get if you get this or that. We've definitely taken into account in-game and post-launch content. Hopefully around closer to September 13th, and definitely at E3, we'll be able to share a little bit more about that.
Okay, cool.
There are two major things to go over with what Kate said, but the first is that we will be getting more information at E3, which is about 6 weeks away, so it really isn't that long at all. There's going to be some big PR beats every single month for Borderlands until the launch in September, with E3 in June, bits and pieces in July, as well as Gamescom in August. So we won't have to wait too long to find out new information on how Endgame is going to work. The other thing that Kate mentioned that was interesting is The Hunt, which is a community week-long challenge where they raise money for charity, and where players and streamers in Borderlands 2 have to collect as many legendaries, pearlescent weapons and loot as possible, and whoever gets the most points by getting the most legendaries and stuff wins. This is a very dumbed down description on what this event actually is, but it's very interesting that Gearbox referred to this in person when talking about Endgame. They know how the community over all of these years have created their own challenges and Endgame, which not only Gearbox knows about, they fully understand why it works and what makes it interesting, and have positioned their content to be more like that, instead of just doing what everybody else is doing, which I would say is very exciting. Not to mention that I spoke to the Xbox On guys whilst I was out there, and they spoke to a producer that said, if you liked previous Borderlands endgames, then you'll like the endgame in Borderlands 3. But this goes on nicely to the other interview. Instead of talking about the loot itself, we really need to talk about how to get that loot. That's the endgame, the challenge, the pinnacle content. And that brings us on talking to Matt Cox about bosses. And we'll talk about mechanics first, as this is a really big area that leads on to the rest of the questions that I asked. So again, I will leave my audio to give you context on what I was asking, because not only is the new Borderlands going to have more bosses than previous games, but the bosses are going to be a lot more important when it comes to mechanics.
Like Borderlands 1 is like a really good example of a game that had a lot of bosses, but what I thought was quite interesting as well is like the bosses in Borderlands 1 were fairly, straightforward. You were against them, they shoot you, you shoot at them. This looks like it has more mechanics, especially. Is that something that you've put like a lot of time and effort into and wanted to sort of push on that? Because there's a lot of games in that looter shooter genre that kind of touches on that, but not really goes too deep with it.
Yeah, I think it's important for us, again, not just the bosses I designed, but the ones that a lot of the other AI designers, the creature designers design. We want to leave people with a moment, right? We want something very distinct. So for me personally, if you play one of my bosses and then at the end you don't have this moment where you're like, oh, remember when that boss did fill in the blank? If I haven't delivered that moment, then I probably haven't done my job right. So yeah, we want to leave people with a distinct, fun combat moment that really got that adrenaline rushing.
Before we go any further, I need to go over a big bit of information. At least according to somebody on Reddit, Gearbox defined Gigamind, Shiv and Mouthpiece, the bosses that we've seen so far in the Borderlands new gameplay. They've defined them as mini-bosses, so these are not big pinnacle bosses, which is good because the mechanics in the stuff that we've seen so far is fairly straightforward and generic. There's a big difference, for example, between Mouthpiece's mechanics of move out of the way of the subwoofers versus, like a full World of Warcraft raid encounter that will one-shot kill you if you mess up. So I asked Matt in this next question if there were going to be raid-esque mechanics of do it wrong and you die in Borderlands 3.
I will say with certain battles you'll definitely have more... you can make more fatal mistakes, against some certain bosses. I don't think we'd want to do that with every single boss encounter because then it might just get frustrating. But yes, you will see new things you probably didn't expect to happen while you're playing, and you have to learn something new in order to beat the boss.
Now at this point in the interview, I raised a point to Matt that I am a YouTuber that likes making and watching guides for content like this. The Fat Boss raid guides for World of Warcraft, tips and tricks on how to beat certain enemies that require a little bit more explanation and know-how to be able to do them. I asked him basically, would I be making boss raid guides on YouTube in a similar vein? Would I be explaining mechanics in order for people to do them? This was his answer.
I think so. I mean, in in any boss fight, there's going to be a particular strategy that might work better than most to defeat bosses. So we want to make sure that our bosses definitely feel powerful, feel very intimidating, but at the same time, like learnable to some extent. It's like then you start to understand how they behave, so that you can figure out a new strategy to overcome whatever that is.
For sure.
And that's everything I wanted to share about the main endgame stuff in terms of interviews, but there is one final thing that I did want to mention. When it comes to the topic of endgame, a lot of focus has gone onto the Guardian ranks, which replace Badass ranks from previous games. Instead of Badass, Guardian will unlock once you've completed all of the story missions, and for each of the 2 Vault Hunters that we've seen, Amara and Zane, they have the same bonus stats on their screen. To get bar, stats and ranks, you need to complete challenges, which isn't the same in Borderlands 3. There are challenges in the game that you complete from just doing random bits and pieces, but you don't get any tokens to redeem in this fashion. Instead, we have to wait until endgame to find out exactly how to get those stats. But as you can see, there are some of the stats in the Guardian rank that are very similar to bar especially. You know, the typical stuff: shield recharge delay, shield recharge rate, gunfire rate, gun damage. These are all stats that were in the Badass rank system in previous games, but there are some new ones such as fight for your life duration and fight for your life movement speed. So they haven't really changed too much with how the system works, but it's more established and elaborated on when you complete the main story, which means that this whole system doesn't come into play until endgame. And considering that you can see this in the menu straight away, goes to show that yeah, this game is made with endgame in mind, because you open up the menus and one of the tabs is purely around this system. A lot of the focus, especially coming from the developers, is that Borderlands 3 has evolved with the genre as a whole, but ultimately it's very much a Borderlands game. It isn't too different, but they know what works with other games. They have been not afraid to sort of play other titles and work out what's good about them, and being able to sort of take certain elements from it. Kate did speak about single player games and how it affects the narrative, but no doubt they have looked at other MMO-like looter shooters like Destiny, Anthem, Division, what they have done well, I guess most importantly what they've done awfully, and how they've been able to cherry pick certain elements whilst also making sure that it is a Borderlands game, that it isn't this always online game like Kate mentioned. So it's the best of both worlds. You get a game that has longevity, has the RPG element and looting and shooting of course, but it doesn't have the drawbacks of an always online MMO light game as a service kind of deal. There will be DLC, there will be skins and stuff that you can get, and no doubt other Vault Hunters in the future, but this feels like it's going to be much more than a previous Borderlands game, which I'm really excited about. There is other stuff to talk about in this interview, but in terms of endgame and where that's going with Borderlands 3, that's basically everything that I wanted to talk about today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do like and subscribe if you did. There'll be more Borderlands stuff going on at the moment. And I really enjoyed going to the gameplay event and learning more about what we're going to be seeing. But thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.
Yo, what is going on guys? Welcome to a Borderlands 3 video. Now, I just want to disclose everything in this video is leaks, okay? Nothing is confirmed, but it is leaks, and it's coming from a reliable source. All this information is coming from a YouTuber named Submato. He's been right about things in the past, so be aware of that. But today we're going to be talking about Amara the Siren, and she's going to be the third playable Siren in the whole franchise. And we've had Lilith, we've had Amaya, and now we're going to get Amara. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. But she is a black female. She's muscular. She has 3 abilities that players can toggle and play how they like. Now, this provides more depths of builds and how people can play with her, or control their experiences too, in a way. She has an ability similar to Phase Lock, where she can group several enemies for easy dispatching. Her second ability is an AoE, an area of effect, and it's a ground pound skill which can do heavy damage and will be most useful for larger types of enemies and bosses. Her third ability is shooting a projection of herself at enemies, and it can fight alongside your controlled version of Amara and deal damage to enemies. Now currently that is pretty much all the information we know. If I did miss anything, I will link Submato's video down in the description. I'm very hyped for this character. Personally, I'm gonna be playing as Flak because honestly he's just a robot. I did like the pre-sequel, how they brought Claptrap in there. I really just want to see how everything works out. Again, if you guys don't know, we're so close to getting the announcement of Borderlands 3. PAX is literally around 19 days at this point. I think it was yesterday, it was 20 because it was the 8th, now it's the 9th, so we're around 19 days. So again guys, if you guys did enjoy this video, by all means, can you guys please drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I know there wasn't very much information, but as more information goes out, I'll let you guys know. If you guys want to see more videos like this, again, subscribe to the channel. It really would mean a lot. I'll probably be making a video on Flak and Zane and Mose, I forgot what her name is. The Mose, just her name is Mose. I forgot some of them, but I'm very excited for Amara. I personally like Sirens a lot, but other than that, guys, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Keep it safe. I don't really know. I don't really do outros a lot, but I hope you guys have an amazing one. Peace out.
She's the one, Cole. Check it low, now. Express yourself. Flow and watch it low. Express yourself. Release and go. Get low, now. Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg, and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost. The comrades I've lost. Won't stop hurting.
Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Jaco here, and today I am showing you guys some more Borderlands 3 pre-order content. And this is what we have so far. Most of this stuff is cosmetic, as you guys can see. Neon cosmetic pack, a head, a skin, another skin, and a little weapon trinket that you can put on the side of your gun. Next, the toy box weapon pack. There's going to be a few more weapons in it. This doesn't show all of it, but the toy weapon trinket, that's also kind of cool. Looks like a water gun, a little orange tip, little like weird trigger there too. The gearbox cosmetic pack is just purely skins and a little gearbox trinket, which is also pretty cool. And then the retro cosmetic pack, like I said, just purely cosmetic for most of these. Weapon skin, a hunter skin, an echo device skin, which is right here to the left, and a vault hunter head, which I'll show you guys like better in-depth pictures of what these all exactly are and everything in them. And the season pass will include a butt stallion pack, which is just the skins. I hope that you can put all the skins on every single one of the guns. And then DLC 1, 2, 3, and 4. And to get a closer look at that, we can go over here and I can show you guys the retro skin pack, what they will look like on the guns. Sniper rifle, I don't know exactly what this is. Could be a grenade launcher, rocket launcher, AR or something. I'm not exactly sure. This looks like some sort of laser SMG or something, and then a handgun of some sort. And here are the Vault Hunter skins and heads, and the Echo device a little bit bigger there. And this is the retro cosmetic pack, and let's back out of that. And now we can check out the neon pack right here. This will be in the deluxe and super deluxe edition, so you won't be able to get it in the regular pre-order $60 edition, but you can get it in the $80 and $100 edition, which I'm probably going to get the $100 edition because I love Borderlands so much, and I know it'll be well worth it. 4 DLCs and all this extra crap is really cool, to be honest. And The weapon trinket we already saw. The Echo device skin, I don't think we saw that in the first picture, but here it is. Looks pretty cool. Nothing too special except for the little neon skull. And then, of course, the Ball Hunters heads and skins. Looks pretty cool as well. Can't wait to use either a head and then use another little skin at the bottom. That'd be pretty cool to test out and see what looks the coolest. The Gearbox cosmetic pack is nothing really special. It's just kind of like a super sleek silver kind of thing, a little bit of green and like gold on the side. And then the Gearbox weapon trinket, which we already saw. And then we're going to scroll down. This is probably one of my favorite things so far, the toy weapons with unique effects. These all look really cool. To be honest, I hope you get it at like level 50, which is going to be the level cap, so you can actually get some use out of these things. And then a toy grenade mod, and it's not even pictured. So yeah, these will be really friggin' cool. Hopefully they're really cool and really good. And yeah, here's also the weapon trinket. I hope these are actually going to be useful, to be honest, and hopefully you get it like level 50. And of course, if you don't already know, become a Borderlands VIP and you can get some rewards. I just got this desktop mural art, super cool, only for 500 points. And there's a bunch of other stuff that you can get here, ton of crap. Let me just pull up my profile real quick, show you guys what I've gotten so far. So I've gotten a free bee from one of the VIP spin wheels and some other guns and stuff. And if you do want to get a quick link to this and help me out and help you guys out as well, I can earn 500 points if you click the link in the description. I'll put this link in the description, so hopefully 25 of you guys will be able to click on it and give me some extra points so I can make content on Borderlands 3 a little bit easier come when the game comes out. And another thing is, they did just release this little video right here a few minutes ago. There's Sanctuary 3 up there in the corner. I think this is Steve the Bandit. And then boom, he crashes into that. I'm not really sure what that was all about. Just right into the danger zone. And then I guess you could say his goose is cooked. Not really sure what that means. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the video today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys are excited and can't wait for these packs and all this stuff, and you want to pre-order this, go right ahead. You can pre-order it on the website or pre-order on PlayStation, Xbox, or a GameStop, or wherever. Yeah, so hopefully you guys did enjoy. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe. If you guys are excited for Borderlands 3, please drop a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.